Monday, March 22nd. This week, a rumbling under my balcony saw a SkyTrak bringing large yellow shrink-wrap packages up to the back side of the assisted living building. It is styrofoam insulation. Later in the day, I noticed that he had made many more trips, and now I had a yellow wall over there by door 4. Near the solarium, I found this worker kind of spinning a piece of scaffolding, and I didn't understand at first, but finally I saw that he was putting his foot on the base of it and pulling up on the top. It must not fit in the holes provided below. So he worked on it a little bit, and then as I watched, he turned it right side up and was able to put it in place and continue building the scaffolding. Molly Caskey took this picture of a worker way up at the corner in the top row of scaffolding. She was a little concerned for him. Walking up the south side, one of my buddies waved. It's kind of nice to be remembered and have a friendly relationship. On the IL building, I watched the SkyTrak and the cherry picker give these guys the advantage up on the high floors to finish the waterproofing. They're making good progress. Another SkyTrak is busy offloading wood into the end by the solarium so they can keep building on the IL apartments. Standing on the casita wall, I looked down and saw orange marks, and it looked like they were getting ready to do some more digging. These will be retaining wall footings. This worker is busy wetting down the soil and the hillside. The machine with the orange band and silver handle compacts the soil to get ready for the footings. You don't want mini avalanches coming down when it starts pounding. Up at Nueva Vista, I found this mama dove sitting on her nest, and I told her how smart she was. She kind of puffed up and shifted around like she knew, but she appreciated the compliments anyway. Across the street one evening, I saw that Little League was going on, and the outfielder was a girl. Styrofoam insulation begins going up. It's kind of like reverse Oreos. They have a big white slab, and they spread it with a gooey charcoal gray stuff, and he hands it up to the man on the scaffolding, who slaps it against the building and pounds on it to make sure that it's secure. I don't think I'd want to take a bite out of these Oreos. Later that day, they have wrapped the Mikasa dining room on the first floor and up into the assisted living floor. Down below, they're applying that pre-formed metal frame where wood meets concrete and partially decorative around the building. He better hustle, 'cause those guys on the left are getting ready to waterproof everything in sight. Another day of styrofoam insulation, and it has come down the wall and around the first bend in the building. I keep thinking they're going to be done with wallboard, but on the south solarium, there's another double truck, and they're offloading it and carrying it away. And they always make big piles of trash again. When I snooped in Carter Hall, these two workers were running wire in the ceiling. As I looked up at the wood installation, I saw that a few panels were hanging down, which makes me think those wires are going in that area also. This week it snowed again. It's always so pretty when it comes down, but it's hard for driving, and the poor guys that have to work the next day. In the morning, mountains are white, clouds hang low and gray, and there's a band of blue trying to poke through. Maybe workers will have a sunny day after all. Another day, the sky is brilliantly blue, and I look across from my balcony north, and I see that the stairwell has been waterproofed. I don't know about you, but I'm ready for some time outdoors. So let's take an imaginary tromp through a garden and see what we can find, smell, touch. Bitty kids don't have any reservations about walking right up, touching it, putting their face in it, and taking a big, deep breath. Pets, on the other hand, maybe looking like they're smelling it, but getting ready to take a bite. Other critters creep in quietly and take a little drink from the butterfly bush. This lovely bush is a strawberry vanilla hydrangea. I am more familiar with the blue-purple hydrangeas that sometimes can have white or pink on them. Sometimes they're even a solid color on each bush. When I run across a mass of the same color, I want to run my hands through it and even pick a few. They're so beautiful. You better believe when this sweet baby comes toddling down the path and reaches out and picks the same flowers I was reaching for, nobody tells her not to do that or doesn't think it's cute. Daisies come in all varieties and all colors, and they all seem just as cheerful. Fountains add a sense of whimsy and sound to a garden, and when it's hot, are nice to cool your hands or feet off. My friend Kay has inanimate critters in her garden. They don't eat anything, and you always know where to find them. Sometimes when you walk through a wildflower garden, the blossoms can tickle your legs as you pass. When you wander through sunflowers, they can be as tall as you are, and it's like having a conversation with a very cheerful friend. Purple is my favorite color, and I think lilac is my favorite fragrance when it starts to bloom. Now those I do pick when no one's looking. Sometimes you find an up-and-coming gardener, a little bitty who wants to help, be like the big folks. Gerber daisies always remind me of someone going to a fancy party. They are so beautiful. Formal gardens have fountains also. These are often quieter and remind you of a bygone era. I still love fountains. Magnolia flowers open to the size of a bread and butter plate, and their leaves are glossy and look wonderful on mantels or last a long time in tall pots. Fuchsia has always looked slightly otherworldly to me, but of course it's purple, so I really like it. A group of multicolored dahlias looks like a bunch of friends catching up and chatting. I'm a good Dutch girl, so I have a preference for tulips. To end our day in the garden, I'm enclosing Molly Caskey's sunset photographs. They have so much color. They remind me of a garden in the sky. Thanks, Molly.
This week at Independent Living, the roof is mostly done and the tape and ceiling seems to be done. And look, you can see that most of the windows have been installed, at least on this side. They have installed lids on the 5th level patios, and look, there's no potty anywhere to be found this week. That surely is a sign we're nearing completion. On the roof, you can see they're still working on odds and ends and trim pieces. It's hard to see what someone's doing down low there, but someone's had the gall to put some scaffolding over our carrot patch. I hope he doesn't wreck the planting. If you look way over to the right there, to the right of that skyjack, you can see they've poured the concrete footing for the retaining wall. As we come around the south side, you can see that all of the yellow painting is done, and some, but not all, of the windows have been installed, and the same for the patio lids on the 5th level. On the 5th level there, the membrane is flapping. I hope that survives the wind that's coming in the next couple days. And notice that Block Monster has been painted yellow. I bet you he doesn't like that. It's kind of itchy, probably. As we come around the west end for our final look, you can't see it, but they've started taping and sealing on this end. This week we are on Titan, a moon of Saturn, with NASA's Dragonfly, another example of an autonomous drone. Dragonfly isn't really there yet. It launches in 2027 and arrives at Titan in 2036. Yes, 9 years. Dragonfly is a lot different from Ingenuity, a little more like Wilbur. Dragonfly is an octocopter. It has 8 rotors and propellers on 4 shafts, 2 per shaft. Why is Dragonfly so different? Well, several reasons. The first one is that Titan is very different from Mars. The atmosphere is very dense, about 1.5 times the density of Earth, and there's very little wind. The gravity is also very low, about 14% that on Earth. So it's very easy to fly on Titan, 40 times easier. You could almost fly yourself on Titan, like Icarus. If we were Icarus on Titan, we wouldn't have to worry about getting too close to the sun. The sun is a long, long ways away, 10 times the distance from Earth to the sun. So Dragonfly has no solar panel. Instead, it has an MMRTG, which is a fancy name for a thermoelectric power plant. But it still needs a battery because when it flies, it uses more power faster than the power plant can deliver. Another big difference for Dragonfly is that Dragonfly is the mission. Ingenuity was an add-on experiment on Mars. Dragonfly is the whole thing on Titan. So Dragonfly needs to last a long time, hopefully at least a decade. So Dragonfly needs reliability. If Ingenuity crashes on Mars, no big deal. If Dragonfly crashes, the whole mission is gone. Dragonfly needs to fly reliably, so it is essentially a quadcopter because flight dynamics of this type of drone is best understood. Dragonfly is an octocopter so that it can survive the loss of at least one motor and still fly. Dragonfly has the whole robotic science lab on board and has to be especially autonomous because communication with Earth takes about 1.5 hours one way. Some other comparisons. Dragonfly weighs 1,000 pounds versus Ingenuity's 4 pounds. Dragonfly can fly for 5 to 6 miles versus only 150 meters for Ingenuity. Dragonfly, when it's entering the atmosphere on Titan, takes 105 minutes to land versus the famous 7 minutes of terror for Ingenuity. Dragonfly is actually released 3/4 of a mile above the surface and flies down itself, versus Ingenuity, which was set down by a rocket-powered sky crane. Finally, Dragonfly costs $1 billion, whereas Ingenuity was $100 million. That's enough for now. Back to assisted living. Here at assisted living, the roof seems pretty well done. The building's all yellow and the scaffolding is all up on this side, just like last week. There were packages of insulation sitting there ready to go up. There's no visible extra work on the retaining wall, and there seems to be, although you can't see it, a little more work being done on the baseboards. They're digging things up again around the lobby. It seems a little wet around there, and there's some fencing around the entrance. It's not clear why. There are 2 or 3 new downspouts in this area. There's some work going on the roof to the right of the lobby on the ductwork. That's duct work, not ductwork. And jumping over to the north side, we see that the white insulation has been done on the left, and in the middle they're putting on a base coat of some kind for the stuccoing. You can actually see them there working as we fly by, and as we come down the north wall, we'll see that on the west end the yellow still shows through. Coming around the west end, we see that there still are not windows on the solaria. That's where a lot of materials go in and out of the building. And finally, coming around the last end, we can see that some crushed stone has been laid by the drain there. We're not exactly sure why. See you next week.